Hello there and welcome to my channel Novice Modelling in a Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy and today we've got 4 complete kits in front of us which were built in sort of February and March when I was in my what I call my dirty dozen building stage, where I'd actually throw a kit together normally in about 15 to 20 minutes. The idea being that putting one of these sorts of kits together, or some of them, was, in my opinion, kind of an easy thing to do, and I was kind of in a bit of a hurry to get onto painting because that was what I considered to be my Achilles heel at the time. So we're going to run through the actual kits and what I actually decided to do with them. So we have this Hawk Spitfire Mark 22, which was originally produced around about 1967. We have this Testors Spitfire F22, which was originally produced around 1978 and is actually just a basic reboxing of the Hawk with exactly the same kit inside. We have this Starfix 172 North American P-51D Mustang, which was produced around about 1991. And we have this Ventura Mark 22 Spitfire, which is a kit made in New Zealand, and that was produced around about 1995. Now, some of these kits, this one, and this one, I'd probably say, as far as my channel is concerned, they're actually a little bit infamous. So I'll give you a brief idea of why I consider them to be a bit infamous, and then we'll move on to what I call my little sort of varnishing experiment. So the Testors, which is this one here, I actually built this one in 1 minute and 35 seconds. So I don't know if that's like a world record or a YouTube record for how quick you can build put a kit together, but it was pretty quick, I thought. So that's that one. The P-51D Mustang, which by Starfix, which was recommended to me as a bit of a nightmare of a kit to put together. It actually had a nasty imperfection on this wing here, and to solve that, instead of using the standard rubbing pads and sanding sticks, I decided to attack it with my Black & Decker sander. So again, kind of rather an infamous build. Some people didn't like my treatment of it, and some people took it for what it was, just something a bit funny to do with a really not a particularly great kit. The Ventura Spitfire Mark 22, which we have here, if you're not familiar with Ventura kits, they do pop up on eBay every now and again for sort of 10 to 15 pounds, and they're actually produced in New Zealand in the 1990s by a chap called Malcolm Reynolds, who's become quite a well-known producer of decals and literature and historical records of sort of Australian, New Zealand aircraft. They specialised in Spitfires, and they did basically Spitfires and Seafires, and they did a whole range of them, of which I have around about 12, I think, now. So this kit, I mean, when I opened this, and if anybody's actually inspected a Ventura kit, they're actually kind of bizarre in the fact that they're not really finished very well. And they tend to have lots of sort of congealed excess plastic from the injection moulding on the insides, which you need to attack with potentially a Black & Decker sander, but I didn't actually figure that one out. Obviously, they do take a little bit of extra time and effort, and they do actually, when they're built properly, because I've actually seen some completed ones or photographs of them, they do make rather nice completed kits. But this was like my sort of 10th video, and I just looked at it and thought, God, this is a nightmare, and just threw it together in 20 minutes and made a right pig's ear of it. Like I say, it was disrespectful of me to do this, I do realise that, but again, I was just kind of having a bit of a laugh at the end of the day. And like I say, I've actually gone on and bought another sort of 10, 15 of these garage kits from New Zealand, which is what a lot of people term them, and I'm actually going to plan to build some of those at some point in the future. I did actually plan to do some much sooner, but time flies when you're having fun building model kits. So anyway, what I decided to do was to paint these up in a variety of varnishes, basically because I'm a novice and I don't really understand what the big deal is about sort of painting these things in matte, satin and gloss. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting for me to have a look at what the different end result is. So we started our little experiment with the P-51D Mustang by Starfix, and what we decided to do, because we'd heard a lot of people say that what you should do when you're painting aluminium finishes is you should use a black matte primer on them. as this gives a slightly better sort of tone. So I thought, well, would it be interesting to see what would happen if you used a matte white primer as well? So what I decided to do was I painted one half, which is this half, in black, and I painted the other half in white. So I think you can see there's definitely a tonal variation there. This one is sort of very sort of aluminium, if you like, but this one has a much sort of more sort of tonal look to it, with sort of some of the black showing through. I mean, the reality is it would probably look slightly better if I was more experienced when I did this, because there was quite a lot of paint went onto this. So, but you can definitely see there that there's quite a difference. I mean, it's most stark here on the engine housing. So for me, it was quite an interesting, an interesting experiment on what was obviously, you know, became a bit of a nightmare kit to build, and was very much a throwaway sort of kit. So that was the first part of the experiment. As you can see, black on this side and white on that side. What I then decided to do was to have a go with the 3 varnishes that I've got, which are Vallejo acrylics, and I decided to do this side in matte, this side in gloss, and I did the fuselage in satin. Now, I've got to be quite honest with you, it's difficult for me on the camera to sort of demonstrate what the differences is, because obviously we've got one side in black and one side in white, so it does kind of look different anyway. But the gloss finish is very shiny, and the matte finish obviously is not. It's kind of dull. So I mean, that's the obvious sort of thing that I noticed. The satin one, because we've got the 2 on either side, kind of just molds in. It kind of produces the variance between the 2, which is obviously what it's supposed to do. Now, I painted up my B-29 Super Fortress in gloss on gloss varnish, and it looks pretty similar to that. I'm not too sure whether I like the shiny effect, but obviously that's obviously what you're going to get with the gloss finish. But it was good for me to sort of see what it looked like. I think in the future, I'm definitely going to be sort of reverting to satin or matte, depending on how sort of new or how old I want it to look, because I'm kind of guessing that that's what the intention is. So that's that one, basically. So that was the first part of the experiment. So it was black and white and the variants and glosses. And then I thought it'd be kind of cool to sort of replicate this experiment on 3 aircraft. So it seemed logical to me that these were sort of, again, part of my Dirty Dozen collection that I didn't really care that much about, and they weren't really sort of put together that well. And where I'd done some filling on these 2, it really hadn't turned out very well. So I thought, well, I'll just paint these up and then put the different glosses on. So we painted them all in the same colours, which, forgive me, I kind of forget, but I think it was XF83 medium sea grey RAF on the undersides, dark green 2 RAF XF81 on the green, and ocean grey 2 RAF XF82 for the grey surfaces. Then obviously we put the propellers and we've done the cannons and what have you in gun metal, black and grey and black and white on this propeller and spinner. So this one, which is the Hawk, I mean, as we can see, it's really, really shiny, and I don't know what people think about shiny aircraft, but I'm really not that much of a fan, to be quite honest with you. So, I mean, like I said with the Mustang experiment, I don't think that's kind of going to be the way I'm going in future with painting models up. But obviously, I do kind of understand that when you applying decals and you want to sort of flatten the paint out, the first application of varnish is normally recommended to be gloss, as it tends to sort of just even the paint out, and it prevents the silvering, which you can actually get on the transfers when you put them on. And then obviously what you're supposed to do then is to go for either a satin or a matte finish on the top. But I mean, as an experiment, this for me was pretty good. So bringing in the Testors F22, which we built in 1 minute and 35 seconds, and it's not perfect, but I mean, what you expect in 1 minute 35 seconds. This one was done in satin, which I think kind of looks quite nice. It's kind of got a bit of sheen to it, but doesn't really have the sort of the unappealing shininess of the other one. So I kind of like that, and I kind of think that, yeah, satin varnish on aircraft for me, that's doable. I could go with that, certainly. This incidentally did not have the recommended gloss finish underneath. It was just satin on satin. And then we come to our rather scabby looking Ventura. We'll do some sort of roundup videos on these as well, so you can actually see them in slightly more of their gory detail. This one was just applied with matte, and yes, they do come with central, these red dots that you have to put in, and yes, that was kind of an accident, but I could have fixed it, but I kind of thought it looked kind of funny. So this one is the matte variant, and as we can see, there's no shine at all. It hasn't had a top coat on to secure the decals because, well, quite frankly, I'm kind of bored of doing this and I didn't really want to waste my money putting more varnish on this one. But as we can see, it kind of acts, it does what it says on the tin, and it's got a matte appearance to it. So, yeah, there we go. That was my little sort of experimentation. Obviously, the varnishes I used were these Vallejo ones. I do actually have the ability to trace where you guys are situated when you actually watch things on my channel. And yesterday we noticed that we had a new viewer from Peru. So hello there, somebody in Peru who watched 19 of my videos apparently. Welcome to our little craziness, and we're going to put your flag on our wall of flags, which represents every nation that we have a viewer. So there you go. Hello Peru. So there's our little experiment, and I hope you kind of enjoyed it and find it kind of interesting. I mean, it's obviously kind of a bit of a fool's errand, because most people would know what a gloss one would do, what a matte one, and what a varnish. But as a novice, it seemed to me to be a pretty good experiment with utilising a couple of kits that are built and I don't really care about. Incidentally, this one is potentially going to be have its aerodynamics tested in November, because I think I'm going to have a bit of a firework party. So we'll be attaching the Mustang, because it's kind of made it. It's kind of proved its worth now. But I really don't want to be bothered keeping it. So that'll be going on a firework, and we'll probably do a film of that in November to celebrate Bonfire Night in the UK, or Guy Fawkes Night. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please do like and subscribe. There'll be a link in the description bar for the painting up. There's 3 or 4 videos that I did months ago when I actually painted these all up in the garage in one fell swoop, which I called my mass production process. So I'll put a link on them to this, and you can have a look at them if you want. I'll be doing a completed build video for each of these over the next couple of days, and I'll just basically discuss what I thought about them when I built them, if I can actually remember. So please do like and subscribe. Please do check out a few of our videos, and be seeing you.